It was just an average day. I'd come to Amsterdam to browse spiritual books in a secondhand shop. I'd been looking everywhere, but nothing really had caught my eye. I was leaving, and as I made my way out, an old orange book I spied at the corner of my eye was lying crookedly on the counter. "Is this for sale?" I asked. "Yeah," said the clerk, "for sure." I felt it was meant for me somehow, so I bought it and I took it home. That book changed the course of my life completely. It was Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. Steve Jobs first read this book as a teenager, and he reread it annually for decades. It was the only book that he ever downloaded to his iPad. George Harrison of the Beatles received his copy in 1996. The portrait of Yogananda on the cover zapped him instantly, he said. That was it. It was all over. He got goosebumps, felt convinced by every word, and he kept stacks of copies to give away to friends, visitors. Even Elvis Presley, in a deep spiritual search, was introduced to it in 1965 by his hairstylist Larry Geller, and it became one of his favorites during his later quest for meaning. More than 4 million copies and counting have been printed and sold worldwide, touching millions of lives, including mine. It completely lit my heart on fire. I'd never seriously considered having a relationship with God. I mean, I was raised by a quite outspokenly atheistic mother, and my first few attempts at prayer really didn't go anywhere. They felt empty. But this book, well, this transmitted something profound. And after reading it, really, I became a dedicated seeker. But to understand the immense power of this book, we have to look at the man behind it and the boy who was a seeker from his very first breath. Let me share with you the remarkable story of Paramahansa Yogananda, a man that woke up millions and still does to this day. His search began at an early age, then still called Mukunda. At 8 years old, he received a vision of Himalayan yogis in glowing caves, filling him with divine light. A voice proclaimed, "I am Iswara. I am light." Wow. Now his home life, it was warm and loving. Really, he was blessed. Scents of incense and fresh flowers wafted from the altar. But his soul, it felt pulled towards some distant mystical realm. But as a man and boy, he was going to be tested. He would face painful loss. He was to travel alone to unknown lands. This was to be a hero's journey, fraught with danger. One night, a terrible dream. His mother appeared to him. "Awaken your father. Take the first available train at 4 o'clock this morning. Rush to Calcutta if you would see me." The family acted quickly. Father and son caught the early train to Calcutta. Tragically, though, they arrived too late. His mother had already passed away. After the death of his beloved mother at age 11, he tried to escape to the Himalayan foothills with a cousin, only to be intercepted by his elder brother Ananta, who mocked him cruelly for lacking a Swami's robe. His family locked the doors and windows to keep him inside. They worried about him running off again, maybe meeting tigers and bandits on the road. Also, they were concerned about his yet unfinished education. So Mukunda prayed and meditated in secret, learning the patience and the power of inner conviction. In his mid-teens, still homebound, he met remarkable saints, and they expanded his mind. The perfume saint Ganda Baba, who materialized rose and jasmine scents from thin air, feats of pranic mastery. Mukunda was impressed, but he saw them as secondary to the true God communion that he sought. The Tiger Swami shared his time spent conquering tigers barehanded in his search for inner mastery, emphasizing the body is literally manufactured and sustained by the mind. These early encounters tested him. Siddhis, yogic powers, or the earnest desire for God. The universe seemed to ask him, which path do you choose? At 17, with the reluctant consent of his father, he joined a hermitage in sacred Benares. There, during deep meditation, an inner voice declared, "Thy master cometh today." He knew not to ignore these powerful flashes of insight, and that day he kept an eager lookout, turning his head and peering down alleyways. Suddenly, stepping into a narrow lane, he instantly recognized Sri Yukteswar, a tall, Christ-like figure in ochre robes. It was his guru. A magnetic, ancient reunion across lifetimes ended his search, and he began full discipleship. Under Sri Yukteswar, he received advanced Kriya Yoga instruction, and in his first deep practice, overwhelming divine light and bliss flooded him. During one very profound experience in meditation, his body rooted immovably, breath stilled. His ego, it began dissolving into infinite bliss and unity. He felt overwhelmed, though, by a deep fear of losing his individuality. He felt Sri Yukteswar approach and touch his heart. Yogananda's consciousness expanded vastly in all directions. In his book, he wrote, "The whole vicinity lay bare before me. My ordinary frontal vision was now changed to a vast spherical sight, simultaneously all perceptive. Through the back of my head, I saw men strolling far down the street. I could detect their thoughts and emotions. My body seemed to be a small point of awareness floating in the immensity of space." Yogananda had experienced what many described as cosmic consciousness. At the ashram, Sri Yukteswar gave tough love when needed, though, rebuking his pride or attempts to impress others. A striking test came about one day when his older brother, Ananta, challenged Mukunda's faith. "You must travel from Agara to Brindaban penniless," he said. "No begging, no revealing the situation. You must eat properly. You cannot fast, and you should return by midnight." Mukunda accepted the challenge. Divine synchronicities unfolded on his journey. Kind strangers shared food with him on the train. Pilgrims offered lavish meals without asking. Guidance appeared effortlessly. His every need, almost, was met precisely. Returning triumphant, Ananta's skepticism melted like snow in the sun. Have you ever had a day like this? In 1915, after university graduation, Sri Yukteswar initiated him into the Swami order. In a simple ceremony, choosing the name Yogananda, which meant bliss through divine union, he knelt as his guru pronounced it, his heart overflowing with gratitude for the guidance that led to this rebirth. His guru Sri Yukteswar repeatedly affirmed his destiny to spread Kriya Yoga globally to the West, prophesied by his great lineage of masters, including Mahavatar Babaji. In 1920, he received a divine vision at Ranchi, and Babaji's appearance confirmed to him, "You are the one chosen to spread Kriya in the West." With the fortifying words, "All doors are open for you," spoken by Yukteswar, Yogananda boarded the ocean liner City of Sparta in Calcutta. He had no funds to speak of, only trust. He set off. In America, he founded the Self-Realization Fellowship, built its headquarters at Mount Washington, lectured to thousands in packed halls. Now, these days, of course, we're used to Eastern teachers, but you've got to understand how incredibly unique this was back then. Other than Swami Vivekananda's visit 100 years prior, nothing like this had been seen before in the United States, ever. He was nothing short of a phenomenon. People flocked to see this exotic but well-spoken Swami. He traveled wildly and initiated over 100,000 people into Kriya Yoga, and he became the first Indian spiritual leader received at the White House by President Coolidge in 1927. Now, many miracles are attributed to Yogananda: healing, divine synchronicities, but there's something much more simple that I really think is worth pointing out. Yogananda was able to talk in a simple but real way about our connection with God. from all the teachers that I had read about, studied with, I think that his connection with spirit was truly remarkable. It was so strong that even through his writings, he was able to communicate that each of us can have our own way to reach out to God, or spirit, or universe, however we like to think about it, and make a real connection. Here's something that he said that has always stayed with me. He said, "Don't say, 'I am God.' That's tricky for the ego." He gave this mantra to repeat. He told people to say, "I and the Father are one." And he presented it as a profound declaration of spiritual truth and unity with God. It was to be repeated with deep feeling during meditation or prayer, or during daily life to erode the sense of separation and awaken divine realization. Now you can also find the exact same affirmation in the Bible, John chapter 10, verse 30. And you can try it out. I can tell you, it's powerful and real. Now this phrase served as a bridge between Christian scripture and yogic non-duality, helping Western students experience God directly through inner communion rather than through scripture or dogma. Yogananda exhorted followers to meditate on it until it becomes a living realization, aligning with his core message: God is nearer than the nearest, and true connection comes through sincere, devoted repetition, leading to ecstatic oneness. Beautiful words. Now, his work etched deep grooves in Western consciousness because really his words remain alive today. And if you like exciting and inspiring real-life adventure stories, you can try out Autobiography of a Yogi if you haven't yet, because it might just set you on fire. I've only just touched on a couple of the stories. There are so many tales that you still haven't heard. And you can also explore his talks in books like Man's Eternal Quest or Journey to Self-Realization. But I'm going to leave you now with one last crazy and mind-blowing excerpt. When I read this, at first, I wasn't sure what to think because it was a whole new concept for me, and I had to let it sink in for a while. So here we go. After giving his last speech in 1952 in Los Angeles, Paramahansa Yogananda entered Mahasamadhi. That is to say, he knew it was his time, and he made a very conscious exit. Shortly after, a profound sign appeared at Forest Lawn Memorial Park. His body showed no physical disintegration for 20 days. The mortuary director, Harry T. Rowe, wrote in a notarized letter, "No physical disintegration was visible, even 20 days after death. No indication of mold, no visible desiccation." This state of perfect preservation is, so far as we know from mortuary annals, an unparalleled one. His face shone unchanged, a quiet testament to the mastery he both lived and taught. Yogananda's life reminds us that the divine is nearer than the nearest, whether through his book, his words, or the practice he brought. May we all find that same fire. And if you feel called to Kriya Yoga, the jet airplane route to realization, why not reach out to the Self-Realization Fellowship? I'm not affiliated in any way, but I wanted to mention it because that is the pure lineage that he established. And if you'd like to hang out with more spiritual beings that are just like you and me, then you are welcome to join our free online community where we chat about real liberation and freedom, and it would be really cool to see you there. Thank you so much for watching.